This pregnant kitty invaded a guy's house and made his life a living freaking hell. It almost goes without saying that you don't want to stand in the way of a pregnant woman, but it counts double when the lady in question has sharp retractable claws and can hide under your sofa. In fact, one social media user can tell you exactly what a nightmare living with a pregnant cat can be. According to Imgur poster Boogie Zoogie, which we really hope is an alias, the bane of his life is Sandwich, who is a fluffy little sandwich with 4 paws and a tail. So, in his comedic and sardonic social media story, Boogie Zoogie revealed that Sandwich appeared out of nowhere on his doorstep in Ferndale, Michigan. He actually even tried to return the cat to sender via internet appeals, but there were no takers. Hence, Sandwich became a permanent squatter, refusing to pay rent or contribute to the bills. In fact, it became clear that Sandwich was like that deadbeat friend we all know and loathe. Or, as Boogie Zoogie said, Sandwich is an a-hole. What's more, Sandwich decided to take over the house by bringing in a family. After I took her homeless A to the vet, they told me she had 6 more squatters in her dumb cat uterus, Boogie Zoogie revealed. She decided it was acceptable to have her beastards in my home, the op added, but Sandwich didn't care what her human servant thought. Indeed, she just wanted to spread her spawn in her next step toward world, or at least house, domination. Even more infuriatingly, Boogie Zoogie provided them all with a box and bedding to call their own, only for the litter to turn their fuzzy little butts up at it. Instead, Sandwich apparently insisted that her minions explore and play all over the house and nap wherever they wanted. But Boogie Zoogie was apparently further frustrated by the cat's apparent dislike of regular beer. I had to get their non-palating asses Miller Lite, he wrote, incredulous, and that's not even how you spell light. And when the cats refused to use a toilet like normal people, the op realized that he'd been cleaning up after the moochers until he could get rid of them. Still, the little fluffers clearly enjoyed being doted on by their mostly furless servant and manipulated him into showering them with affection. Boogie Zoogie also claimed that the cats were arrogant and that they loved the camera. However, lacking opposable thumbs, they couldn't operate one by themselves, so he, as their subservient human, had to do it for them. Mind you, they consistently ruined his attempts at taking selfies with their endless photobombing. Plus, whenever the op tried to take a picture of all of them together, they intentionally wouldn't cooperate. Look at them. They can't even take a family picture properly, the Boogie Zoogie complained. Really, just one picture? You can do it. They'll probably all end up with entry-level jobs. Yes, they foiled even the op's best efforts at photography, as Boogie Zoogie was not pleased. Look at that little blank on the right. His head's moving so fast because he's a terrible person, and an even worse cat, he wrote of this snap. Eventually, the op gave it up as a bad job and resigned himself to the fact that they were just trying to make his life more difficult. In all honesty, they were probably off their tiny fuzzy heads on catnip. They seemed like the type. You have to wonder, though, what makes a fully grown man into a slave to a cat like Sandwich and her progeny? After all, Boogie Zoogie could have called the cops or kicked the interlopers out on their fluffy little butts. In fact, he may have some serious issues going on there. I had to touch these disgusting, insufferable blanks with my own 2 hands, he wrote on his post, but he handles them a suspicious amount, as if he likes it. Naturally then, the Sandwich squires began to dominate more of the house as they grew older. Instead of sticking to the floors like real cats, for instance, they raised their status and elevated themselves to head of the bed. In fact, they would creep into Boogie Oogie's room like thieves in the night and hijack his body heat. I have to wake up to this filthy cuddle puddle of unemployable ham-fisted nitwits, he bemoaned, and they probably stole all the covers, too. Despite the op's constant complaining and self-pity, however, the story of Sandwich and her unstoppable sand spawn has drawn in quite a viewing. To date, it has received over 355,000 views and over 18,000 points on Imgur by fellow gluttons for punishment, wanting their own feline moochers. After all, the internet is full of weirdos. One of them, for example, wrote, "I think this could be one of the few times I can honestly say I wished I had 7 of the little a-holes. It's possible they were talking about cats, but we can't be sure." In conclusion, then, it's clear that Boogie Zoogie likes having Sandwich and her niblets around, even if it's just because they're bite-sized. Mostly, though, his perseverance in the face of such terribly adorable living conditions is admirable.